With all the talk about Tennessee finally beating Alabama, Michigan looking like a schoolyard bully, and UCLA, TCU, and Ole Miss remaining undefeated, there's one team out there that people really aren't talking about. Now, that would be college football power Ohio State. And I know they haven't played anybody that's currently in the top 25, and the warm feelings about the Notre Dame win disappeared about as fast as the Irish did after their recent cliff diving display this season. But this Ohio State team has elite players, and they are putting up outstanding numbers. How elite are those numbers? Ohio State is number one in the country in points per game, points per play, yards per play, fourth down conversion rate, and red zone scoring. Oh, and they're number two in the country in converting on third down. That's hard to do through 7 weeks against anybody. I don't care about the schedule. And that's been without their superstar, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Now, those stats would lead you to believe that Ohio State is just an offensive juggernaut. But the defensive numbers are just as good. Outside of defensive red zone scoring, the Buckeyes are top 10 in all the categories I just listed on the defensive side of the ball. The most dangerous part about this Buckeye team is that they're more balanced than a good diet. They can beat you in multiple ways. And with an elite quarterback mixed with a team that's getting more weapons back than Afghanistan did after we left, this team has a ton of room to grow. Now, this weekend, again, they host an Iowa team that would struggle to move the ball on air. They do have a big test in 2 weeks at Penn State, who just got their pants pulled down and spanked in the grocery store in front of everyone at Michigan. So even a win on the road in Happy Valley may not suffice the haters. But we do know this Ohio State team is as good as any out there. And do not be surprised if you look up at the end and the Buckeyes are one step away from glory. Cone, maybe it's just that Ohio State's kind of cruised.
They're good.
Maybe again,
They're really
maybe
good.
because it hasn't been against the best competition. If you really look at that schedule, you do go to Maryland, I believe. The one at Penn State's going to be tough. But really, outside of that, you should go ahead and put the windows down and cruise all the way to the big game, which you happen to host in the Horseshoe. But you look at C.J. Stroud. You look at the weapons they have on the outside. They're adding guys. You look at the weapons in the backfield, the way the offensive line is able to pass pro and move the ball on the ground. Then on the defensive side of the ball, they are just about as talented as anybody. Are we kind of laying low on Ohio State because they just haven't been super flashy against big-name teams and haven't had that big game yet outside of a Notre Dame team that we found out was really a 5 pretending to be an 8?
Some people maybe are laying low on them. I mean, others have them.
You've had them at number one.
You know, and I think that, again, they can only play the teams that they've been playing. What's so impressive to me, we knew the offense was going to be great when you bring back this many caliber of weapons here. And the fact that they're putting up this much yardage and points with Jackson Smith and Jigba being hurt, like you said, and not only that, but Travion Henderson, who we had as a top 5 back in the country, has also been banged up, and they're still putting up this many points. I understand the concern on the level of competition, and I have their schedule pulled up here. They've beaten Michigan State, Rutgers, Wisconsin, Toledo, Arkansas State. We know about the Notre Dame win. Obviously, I say the same thing about the Buckeyes that I say about Michigan. Everything you want goes through that last game of the season, and especially now that Michigan is a good football team, the Buckeyes are going to get them at home. But the point that I wanted to hit on with you is the defensive side of the football. We cannot overstate how much value Jim Knowles from Oklahoma State has added to this
Hell, look
defense.
at Oklahoma State right now.
Yeah, I know. Oklahoma State went from being a defensive identity last season to they're giving up 40 points a game now. Well, not 40 points a game, but they've given up 40 points in big games, right? Now, they're still finding a way to win. They've turned it back into an old school Big 12 offensive juggernaut somehow. But Jim Knowles has added so much value to this Buckeyes defense. I want to see, can they keep this going throughout the rest of the season, especially as they host Michigan in the last game of the season? But to me, the Buckeyes are rolling.
Blaine, when you look at Ohio State compared to Georgia and Tennessee and some of these other teams in the top, where do you stack them up right now?
As good as any team in the nation. I mean, realistically. One, you should always be worried about the quietest guy at the dinner table.
Yeah.
A guy who's out there literally listening to what you're saying and thinking about what's going on. But one, there's not an elite defense out there this year. There's not a Georgia defense running around this year, and their offense is good enough to play with anybody in the country. Bama's defense not elite. Georgia's defense is probably the most elite in the country. Tennessee defense not elite. Michigan defense, I would say good, but not elite. So, I mean, C.J. Stroud right now putting a Heisman performance together, and they really don't get talked about enough because they don't really play anybody on their schedule. I mean, realistically, it's not their fault Michigan State's down this year. I mean, they got Penn State and then they got Michigan. That's it. They go to Penn State.
Yeah.
They got Michigan in the home. Other than that, they really have nobody.
And I know every year is different and every team is different. That's the trick about coaching, is trying to build that culture and have different guys come in and have close to a similar identity while still letting them be themselves. But I think Ohio State has had so much success in the past. They're one of the few places I think they've earned the benefit of the doubt. I think they've earned the benefit of the doubt. You look at how fast they are. You look at who's been out, who's coming back. It's hard to not say that Ohio State, you put them at number one. I think there's 3 teams you could put at number one right now. 3, maybe even 4, which is a pretty cool situation to be in compared to what we've had. I hope it continues to play out like this. Hey, everybody, hope you guys enjoyed that. Make sure, take a little bit of time, look below you, go ahead and sub to the channel. Keep spreading the word. The best sports show that everybody's just now finding out about. It's Crandon Company. We'll talk to you soon.